What's up Raiders, Bionic here with an important video on what is probably the most asked question in Raid Shadow Legends. Who should you 6-star next, or even who should you 6-star first? So, in today's video, I will go over the general strategy you guys should use when making this very important decision. Because let's face it, it's not an easy question to answer, even for experienced players. But first, why is this question hard to answer and why is it so important? Well, for one, because it will always depend on all the champions you currently have, as well as the quantity of resources, such as gems, skill tomes, gear, and gold you have saved up. Because to maximize the efficiency of this new level 60 champion, you should be able to properly gear him, partially or fully max his skills, and ideally get a T6 mastery as soon as possible. So it's not just about getting him to 60, alright? Secondly, depending on if it's your first rank 6 or even your 12th rank 6 champion, you will always have to take into account the impact it will bring to your current teams. In other words, sure, your new champion might be giving you a team counter attack buff, but he might have to replace the champion that was giving you the speed buff or turn meter increase, so which is better? Thirdly, in the beginning, most of your rank 6 champions are going to be used almost everywhere, but as you progress, you will start to have enough of them to create specific teams for specific dungeons, or the clan boss, or the arena, and so on and so on. And the problem with this is that you will need more and more high quality gear and accessories with near perfect rolls to properly gear them all and maximize their efficiency. So, you will have to decide which aspect of the game or which dungeon you want to focus on first to farm the gear you will need to make all your champions stronger. Next, you might be tempted to focus on your legendaries at first or even some top tier epics, but realistically you won't be able to max their skills right away or even if ever at all. So you have to ask yourself, how long am I really going to play this game and how much money or real life time am I willing to invest? Once you answer those questions, then you will have a better idea of which champions are really worth ranking up and which might just be a waste of time. And finally, this is probably the most complicated aspect of it all. You've got to have a good understanding of what you will need to reach the end game, which is Dungeons level 20, Arena Gold Tier 4 for now, and more recently Ultra Nightmare, or at least the Nightmare Clan boss. And what I mean by this is understanding which buffs, debuffs, AoE or multi-hit skills, or max HP skills, auras, the champion affinity types, and masteries loadout you will need for all your teams. So, now that we've answered those questions, here's the general strategy I've used as a free-to-play player over the past 6 months, which by the way probably isn't very different even if you are a pay-to-win player. Alright, first, if it's your first rank 6 champion, then he should be a decent farmer, useful against clan boss and in the dungeons, and have a good nuking potential in the arena. So basically your starter champion can fit that role, especially Kale or Ethel. However, if you opened a ton of shards before even starting to play, this may not apply, so be careful. The next couple of rank 6 champions should complement your first one by bringing easily accessible and important buffs like the 50% attack up, the 30% speed increase, and debuffs like the 60% defense down and 25% weaken. You should also try to have enemy max HP skills as quickly as possible. Also, if you're keeping up with your missions and challenges, then you will notice that, if I remember correctly, they are forcing you to rank up and fully ascend 2 champions of each affinity to 60. That means 2 Force, 2 Magic, 2 Spirit, and 2 Void by the time you get to the end of the missions part 4, so keep that in mind. After the first 8, and if you've decided to follow the challenges and missions or not, you will have to start thinking about specializing your roster by getting even more buffs and debuffs, or you might have already started doing that, which is great. More importantly, you're also going to have to focus on champions that bring more than just one of those buffs or debuffs, alright? Here's a chart I made that provides an overview of what I think should be prioritized for each aspect of the game. But it is a work in progress and it will most likely be changed or finely tuned in the next couple of weeks, so I'll make a separate video to explain it further as I complete it. So, here's the chart. I'm going to quickly explain how it works, and then eventually, with your feedback, I will be able to modify it so that we all agree on what is the most important buffs and debuffs for each aspect of the game, like I just mentioned. So let's take for example the clan boss. I think the team counterattack buff and as well as speed is probably one of the most important buffs to have to maximize your damage output. Of course the other debuffs here are important, but I really think having those two first is going to help a ton. Then obviously decrease defense, and the weaken debuff, as well as the decrease attack buff and increase defense are going to help a lot with your damage output and survivability. We also know that for the multi-hit skills and max HP, they're going to go a very long way because they're going to work well with the Giant Slayer for multi-hit, and max HP, like let's say Cold Heart, is going to be able to deal quite a lot of damage. As for the enhancements, having a healer or multiple healers and lifesteal gear on most of your champions is also going to help tremendously in pushing out your survivability and damage output. Turn meter increase also is going to work very well. He is immune to turn meter decrease, so that's not going to work at all on him. Then we're going to look at the 5 different keeps. Basically, these aren't very hard. They stop at level 15. So in my opinion, you don't need to have too many buffs for survivability. I only put shield and increased defense here because I think that, you know, it's enough to get you through the most of them basically. Turn meter increase obviously is going to be helpful in all of them, heals and lifesteal as well, but again, it may be not necessary if you have enough damage output. As for the attack types, AoEs are obviously going to help a lot because you need to clear the first 2 waves, and then you'll get to the boss where you can deal massive amounts of damage with, you know, max HP skills. But then again, they don't have a lot of HP, so it might not be needed to even have those max HP skills. Then we, you know, look at more specifically the magic keep, where you are going to want either the block buffs or steal or remove buffs. The spirit keep, you're going to want the heal reduction debuff. The force keep, you kind of want to have the decreased defense, but then again, like I said, it works on all of them, so it's really just the magic keep and spirit keep where you need to have an extra debuff on hand. Alright, next we are going to look at the 4 level 20 dungeons. So as you can see here, decreased defense is there pretty much in all of them, as well as increase attack to maximize your damage output. You'll see that they pretty much all have AoE skill types as well, because you need to clear those minion waves. Increased speed speaks for itself. You definitely want to just speed up the whole process, so it's going to help with the damage output and, if in a sense, also help with your survivability. The weaken debuff might be interesting on the boss at the end, so if you can squeeze that in, great. As well as poison and HP burn, if you can bring that for the boss himself, that will tremendously help with your clearing speed. Turn meter decrease is going to help a ton, especially against the Dragon's Lair when he has his special skill up. Heals and lifesteal on your team will definitely help with your survivability. Maybe even it's needed, so I haven't confirmed that yet. Turn meter increase, you'll see it everywhere. I mean, that always works quite well. You might want to bring the attack down to help with your survivability, but maybe with your shields and defense increase, that might just be enough for you to get through the entire thing. So Spider's Den. This one's a little different because there's multiple ways to do it, but the way I've been doing it is because I have the right champions to do it this way, is to have the decreased defense, the weaken debuff, and then use max HP skills. So like 3 Cold Hearts and Royal Guard, something like that. So that works fine for me, which is why I put it this way. But like I said, this might not be perfect for now. Let me know what you guys think about this one. For the Fire Knight, I feel like it's all about getting enough speed, multi-hits, and turn meter decrease and turn meter increase to do the final boss. Obviously, you're still going to want some AoEs to clear the waves and get to him, but I think the most important is to get these first, and then you can see if you can squeeze other buffs and debuffs in it. Alright, next, the Minotaur. So I guess he could have been with the keeps because he only has level 15, but you're obviously going to do a lot of the Minotaur because you need to max all those masteries for all your fancy 60 champions. So decreased defense, increased attack, and speed. I mean, those are probably the standard and easily accessible buffs that you can get on most of your teams. Again, some AoE, max HP, and turn meter decrease for the boss himself. That's always good. You can bring along some heals lifesteal on most of your gear that can help a lot as well. Turn meter increase. I find that I have enough with just maybe a shield or increased defense. Sometimes I don't even have the increased defense, and that's just fine. The decreased attack debuff, also I don't really need it now because my champions are powerful enough to clear, but it is something that you might want to consider if you're having a hard time dealing with level 15. Alright, and finally the arena. So don't pay too much attention to the order of these buffs, but really it's just to show to you guys that it's a different game. So when you hit the arena, I think it's really about going first if you can, or at least incapacitating your opponents as quickly as possible. So you'll see a lot of buffs that, debuffs that are CC basically. So, you know, block cooldowns, block buffs, freeze, provoke, sleep, and I even forgot the stun here, but those are all little things that are going to help you tremendously in winning more matches. For the survivability, I think the shield speaks for itself. If you can manage to get the block damage and unkillable buffs on some of your champions, that's also great. The revive is also annoying to deal with sometimes. The ally protection, all depending on if you have like a really tanky team, decrease speed and increase speed of your own team. That again will help a lot with your survivability as well. As for the attack types, depending on if you're doing like a nuke team or not, an AoE or AoE on most of your champions, that's usually pretty good. Turn meter decrease and turn meter increase on your own champions obviously will help tremendously. So again, this is just a first version of this chart. I'm hoping that with you guys we can come up with a more accurate version of it. So I'll update it, I'll wait for everybody's feedback, and then hopefully we agree on what is the best buffs and debuffs to bring for each aspect of the game, or end game I should say. Finally, the best thing I can suggest is to ask the community or more experienced players for help. High-level players have already beaten level 20 dungeons and gotten the best possible chest from the Ultra Nightmare clan boss. People regularly post screenshots of their accomplishments on the game's Facebook page or in official Discord server or Reddit. So please do a little bit of homework, have a plan, and then decide who you should focus on. Alright, so now we are going to look at my account and use it as an example to see how I applied this strategy. It's important to note that it has already been a couple of weeks since I got my recent wave of new champions, and I am still working on leveling, doing masteries, and temporarily gearing them until I can farm better pieces. So, my first champion to level 60 was Crimson Helm. I got her very early on, and she seemed like a well-rounded champion. She was at first my farmer, she was used in the arena, and used in the dungeons, and even still used for me in the clan boss, because she has quite a lot up her sleeve, such as the decrease attack, block damage, a provoke, increased defense, and revive on death. The next champion for me was a Cold Heart. So I got one of them very early on. Everybody was basically saying how fantastic she is, which is true. She does bring a heal reduction, decrease accuracy, which isn't really helpful, poison debuff, but more importantly, she has the enemy max HP skill. I also forgot to mention her A1 is a 4-hit multi-hit skill, which is very useful in for the Fire Knight against a clan boss. So early on for me, she was used against a clan boss and in dungeons. Recently though, she is mainly used in dungeons. After Cold Heart, I had Athel, which I ended up ranking up to 60 as the one of the 4-starter champions. I chose Athel mostly because of her triple hit A1 as well as the weaken debuff. So very useful against the clan boss, and I still use her against the clan boss for now until I can get my Razin up to speed, and he is going to replace her. Also, her A2 is a very good AoE with the extra 15% chance to crit, makes her very useful in the arena, she is still on my arena team as of today. After Athel, I was now needing a Force champion to rank up to 60, because I had done Crimson Helm, which was the Spirit, Cold Heart the Void, Athel the Magic, and then she ended up being my Force champion. She was very useful to me early on. I recently replaced her with Zargala because Zargala is a bit better. They kind of do the same thing, but the main reason I had gotten her was for AoE, the AoE A3 with the decreased defense debuff. So very useful in the arena, and I actually even used her against the clan boss, used her in dungeons as well. So she's on the ice for now, but I might be in need of her when I start hitting the high level dungeons. Now, after those four, I don't remember exactly the order, but I do know I did, I believe, 2 more Cold Hearts for obvious reasons, and Berserker. Now, Berserker is a little bit interesting. He doesn't really bring any interesting like multi-hit or max HP skills. Neither does he have any buffs or debuffs, but I really needed something to complement my arena team, and he has a AoE which ignores 20% of each target's defense. So he was very useful in the arena for quite some time. I made a couple of videos on that. If you guys haven't seen them, you can go and check it out. Alright, so after those 5 core heroes that I probably used for about 4 months, if not more, with a couple of rank 5 champions that I had a little bit later on, but I really didn't do any summonings until recently. So during those summon rushes, one of them was for obviously to get Foley, and then I got really lucky with my Sacred Shards. I got Rosin, and amongst those I also got Zargala, Royal Guard, and a Bellower. So I'll quickly go over each of them and how they are currently fitting into my roster of champions. So, Bellower. I obviously got him because he is I guess, one of the #1 farmers. I was using Athel, which was doing it about 30 to 40 second runs, so I figured, you know what, Bellower is going to help me do it in about 10 seconds or less, which is perfect. Now, he might also be useful in some of the dungeons, perhaps even one day in the arena. His gear isn't quite there yet, but I mean, I am kind of working on it, and like I said, I never really farmed gear intensively, so it's a work in progress. After Bellower, I chose to level up Zargala to replace my War Maiden, but specifically for the arena for now. Also for dungeons, I know she's good in the dungeons, but I really wanted somebody to add a little bit of CC, and since I already have Ghostborn to give me the decreased defense debuff in the arena, Zargala was fitted with a stun set. So she is, like I said, useful in the dungeons as well, but mainly for now it is the arena. So, Foley. Foley obviously is going to be used mainly against the clan boss. So he did replace one of my Cold Hearts, mostly because of the 4-hit A1 with a decreased defense, but I mean, I'm not really counting on it that much. I do have other champions that can bring that to the table for the clan boss, but he also brings the leech debuff, which adds a little bit of survivability, but not that much. So again, I haven't really leveled any skills for him right now because I'm not entirely sure who all my legendary skill tomes are going to be used on. Finally, Rosin. So Rosin is another work in progress. I haven't done his masteries yet, but he will be replacing my Athel against the clan boss. However, I think that for him to properly do his job, he's gonna need to have one of his skill, this one here, leveled up until I can reduce the cooldown to a 3-turn. So again, that's a big commitment. I'm not entirely sure I'm going to do it right away, but it's something I plan on doing. Then finally we had Apothecary. So that is something, or a champion I should say, that I really wanted early on. I just recently got him, and you know what, I think he's still a fantastic champion. Decided to invest a little bit in him, so did all of his skills as well as all of his masteries, because he brings what's something that I was lacking for a very long time, which was a healer, a triple hit A1, which is good for the clan boss, and the Fire Knight, and the speed increase. So I didn't have that before. I mean, I did have it with Diabolist here, but I mean, she wasn't exactly a clan boss material or high-end dungeon material. Haikatoon sort of does that role a little bit as well, but my Haikatoon right now is mainly used in the arena for the speed aura and speed buff. but for dungeons and clan boss, I still think Apothecary is better. That heal is just so useful. It's on a 2-turn cooldown, so it's fantastic. Alright, finally, and the ones I did not increase to rank 6 right away, but I do intend to do it very soon, so that they're basically next on my list, was this guy here, Occulto Brawler. So he's currently set up in whatever gear I had lying around to give him a lot of survivability and speed. He's used against the clan boss. He's doing a ton of damage. I have not leveled any of his skills yet. Not sure it's needed. I haven't done his masteries at all, but I mean, he's already doing like 4 or 5 million for me on the Brutal clan boss. Nightmare as well, actually. I did try him out there. Next we have Ghostborn. So Ghostborn kind of replaced my Spirit Host as the 50% increase attack up, but he also has the 60% decrease defense, which is guaranteed to hit. I just need to increase his skills for this to be at 100%, so he's fantastic for dungeons and the arena. Now the reason I didn't get him to 60 right away is just because he still serves his purpose quite well, even being at level 50. I have him on a shield set for now because I did not have anybody else to put it on for my arena team. So another one on my list, it'll be between these two guys for sure to hit 60 next. And finally we have Painkeeper. So Painkeeper, I'm sort of going to work on her when I can, but she's not a priority. I think she's a good healer, maybe better than Lugan, I'm not quite sure yet. But again, that is something else that I might need eventually, is to have a second very good healer, because right now I only have Apothecary and the lifesteal sets for most of my dungeons. So I think it's not going to be enough. I'm not powerful enough to nuke through the waves and then get to the boss. I'm really going to have to focus on survivability, and it's going to be long fights, but at least I think I'll be able to do it. Alright guys, now I really need to wrap this up. I'm going on over 20 minutes, but this is a guide video, so I really wanted to try and cover everything to help you guys out. So hopefully the chart will be helpful. If you don't agree with it, or if you think things should be changed, the order of buffs and debuffs, let me know. I'll gladly do it. And hopefully with the example of using my account, now you guys can better understand how I used this strategy. So as always, thanks for watching. I really hope you enjoyed, and if you stayed till the end, then great. And don't forget to check the description to see how you can support my channel. Later guys.